Ugh. That's how we starting. That's how we starting. Okay. I know it's been a while since I've had an actual video on this channel. I'm sorry about that. It's just, you know, a lot of things got in the way, like me being lazy. That's it. But enough of that. Before I get into this video, I want to self-promote a little bit because I do have an EP out right now. 7 tracks. It's called Thing Wicked. You can find it on my YouTube and on my SoundCloud. Please go check it out. It would be much appreciated if you were to do that, because I want to get my actual music starting to grow, at least in terms of receiving feedback and an audience. So doing these types of videos would help promote that a little bit, because it is electronic music and I'm reviewing electronic music, so it's a nice way to collide those two together. But enough of the things that don't matter at all. The thing we're going to be talking about today is the latest compilation from Interval Audio, Interim Season 6, which excited me a lot on first listen, because, you know, I love Interval Audio, and because I reviewed the last Interim, I should review this one as well, as kind of a little comeback. So, yeah. For those who aren't aware, the Interim series is mostly just kind of heavy dubstep, tear out, even Brotherstep. There's a lot of rhythm in there. There's just a lot of the more aggressive side of bass music is found on these comps. Not to say that there isn't variety on display, there definitely is, but it's mostly just hard-hitting, aggressive, metallic dubstep that we've come to know and love from this label. And it's a lot shorter than most Interval comps. It's 15 tracks. That's pretty trim for Interval, so I think this is a good place to start reviewing again. I did a live review for Elan Fatale Season Sync, but I ended up not editing it. I'm sorry. Here we are. I'm gonna edit this one, because if I don't, I'm gonna kick myself for not. So, okay, I'm rambling too much. Let's get to the first track, Kick Down by Nimda and Kronomikal. Why am I saying it like I'm about to listen? Oh, this is a mess. I'm not used to it. Alright, this track, Kick Down, Nimda and Kronomikal. Very nice to see them collabing, honestly, because I love both of these artists. Kronomikal has been getting a lot better as of late, at least in my opinion. He's been really improving in his production quality and just his overall sound. And Nimda is one of the GOATs in Tear Out, so it's honestly just a perfect blend. On this collab itself, it is nice. The intro, nothing special, and then it gets right into the drop. It's 16 bars of an intro, right into the drop, which is just pure Nimda and Kronomikal Tear Out. It's actually a pretty nice blend of sound design. I can't really distinguish the artists all too well, although I can tell that the drums are definitely Nimda, especially on the kick. I didn't really expect this to not be produced well. I mean, it's Nimda. The first sections of both drops have a staple Tear Out sporadic bass in them. You know, the drops are very energetic, lots of vocal samples thrown throughout the track to give it this kind of energy. The second halves of both drops are a little disappointing, at least on the ideas front. I mean, they're produced well, but it's just, I expect a little bit more from them. But overall, it is a decent track. It's what I expected from these two, but it could have been better. Next track on the comp, Omegamode with Magma. Very, very surprised to see Omegamode on Interval. Also incredibly exciting to see Omegamode on Interval. Out of all the compilation series he probably would release on Interim, I haven't heard much of Omegamode in the past couple of years. I remember like the Dr. Ozzy Blackout remix that he did. I remember Skies of Fire. I remember his collabs with Adair, like Revival and the one that shall not be said. This track is kind of just staple Omegamode Brotherstep. It's not anything particularly special on the ideas front, but it's executed so well. The production is good. There are a couple places where I don't feel that it's as good as it could be in terms of the production quality, which is something I did not expect from Omegamode of all people, but I don't think it takes away too much from the overall quality of the track. I love the sections where it has this like really present synth in the like intervals between the heaviness, and it just kind of keeps that melody in there with the song. It's a very good track overall. It's definitely one of my favorites on here. This brings back so many memories, bro. This part. When it goes high. Yeah. Alright, next song, Brotherstep by Stabby and Zeneth. Hobie, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. This collab is very, very exciting. I really like this track and what it does in terms of its production. Like, that's the thing that really stuck out to me when I first heard this, is just how deep and cutting its production is. Right, Hobie? Right, Hobie? You agree with me. Come on. I definitely hear the Zeneth influence in the sound design in the drops. There's a lot of stabby patterns. Well, there's stabbing patterns, but there are also patterns that I can hear Stabby doing. So the intro and melody are kind of staple Stabby. I mean, you can hear influences from both, actually. It's just a super nice blend, albeit kind of Zenith heavy in the drops, at least. But it's still a really nice collab between these two producers, and I'd love to see them do more. And I know Hobie would love to see both of them do it again, wouldn't you? Hobie, please don't. This is what you get for meowing during recording. He's gonna chill back there for the rest of the video. This intro is pretty good too. Like, watch when this comes in. The piano. Ooh. piano goes crazy. Alright, next track. Disco Drive by Spitfya. I haven't heard too much from Spitfya, but I'm pretty sure he's been in the scene for a while. Didn't he have that one collab with like Decembra? Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. This has a very electro house, or electro and a house kind of feel. It has that kind of old school vocal chopping that you hear from Skrillex back in the day. I like what this track does. In the second half of the first drop, it goes halftime in the drum pattern, and it becomes more drawn out, and I like that. In the second drop, it becomes a lot more like just staple, just pounding kicks like you'd hear in hardcore, but it's not really at the tempo for hardcore. But one thing I don't like about this track, and what I don't like about a lot of tracks in the electronic music scene, well, the bass music scene, if I'm being honest, is cutting the second drop short. Why are artists doing it? I don't want to get into it too much because that's a video for another day, but it just boggles my mind. I don't get it. It just saps all the energy out of the drop, at least for me. It's still a good track though. I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. It isn't perfect, like a lot of the sounds kind of feel disconnected in a way or a bit incoherent, but I still gain a lot of enjoyment out of the song. Feel the bass. Hear that snare, bro? Oh, it's good. This part. Next track off the comp is Come Down by Aimless. Not the approach I'd expect from Aimless on this type of compilation, but one I am very, very glad he went in. Aimless has been kicking ass recently. He's been doing so well with tracks like On My Mind and Meat and OMG off Without God Season 9. Oh god, I feel like there's one other track that I just can't remember right now. But he's just been really good as of late. And I didn't really used to be into his music just because of like the production quality. But at some point, he just got crazy sharp, crazy clean in his mix downs and his production. So I just love what he's been doing recently. And this track is no exception. It has a very dark feel. It has staple Aimless growling sound design, but it's a bit thinner. It's not as thick as what he usually does, and that's because of what the vocal he uses laced throughout the drop, I think is really creative and a very nice add to the overall atmosphere. The second halves of both drops pick up the kind of idea of the dubstep very well, so I just really like what the song is going for. I will say the two gripes I have with it is that the build-ups seem kind of rushed. The build-up just kind of comes out of nowhere, and the second drop I feel like should have the vocal, or at least the second drop should have the vocal and the first drop shouldn't, to kind of like build off of the idea previous, but it just takes away the vocal, and I think it's a little bit of a downgrade in terms of the original idea. I still enjoy what he did in the second drop, but it feels like it's missing the vocal or something else to really keep it going. But overall, this is a great track. I love it. Oh my god, the textures and design of his music have gotten so good. I also really like this vocal. Like, this is fine, but then the build-up comes in, it feels a bit forced or rushed. I also forgot to mention that I really like how it builds off the drop into the midsection. That's really well done, how it transitions. I forgot to mention that. The glitches, man, they're so good. Next track, System Failure by Sed. Also very surprised to see Sed on this compilation, because he's one of the OGs in the scene. I mean, I remember like tracks like Dancing and Nya being released like years ago, and tracks like 111, definitely some of my favorites from his. He's been around a while, and his production is great. I haven't heard him that recently, kind of like Omegamode, but I still respect what he has planted onto the scene in terms of his music. And this track is good. That's about all I'd say. It's kind of just good all around. Good production, good intro, good ideas on the drop. It's just not as, like, it's not the best I've heard from him. It's still good, but it's just not something I'm totally enthralled by. Production's pretty sick, honestly. Alright, Sonic Boom by Saunter and Packback. Two artists that are pretty hit or miss for me. I don't like Saunter all the time, and I also just haven't heard much Packback. But I know they're both rhythm artists, and they've made rhythm here. It is pretty solid for rhythm. I do like that there is an actual time spent on the intro, which is something that not a lot of people do in rhythm. I will say that the drums are loud. The drums are very overwhelming in the mix, and I feel like that'll put a lot of people off. I enjoy that in this song because of how sharp the percussion is overall, and you don't hear that too often, but I can see a lot of people being like, whoa, you turn it down a little bit, at least on the percussion, because the main basses are fine in terms of where they need to be in the mix, but the drums just very much overpower that, and I feel like they should be leveled to where they're almost at the same level. But it's just right now the drums are so overpowering that it's just like one of the main things that your ears draw attention towards. But other than that, I think sound design is good, ideas are good, the flow is good, like in most of their songs. A couple things I'll say. The outro, a bit too long. Just a bit long. I don't like the kind of using the build-up at the end, because you don't want to make an outro. I think that that's just a bit too, like, you need a section to fill it up, so you just reuse the build-up. I don't really like that much. It doesn't work, in my opinion. And also the transitions into the drops are just a bit off-putting. I don't know why. I can't really put it into words. It just feels weird, at least on the first listen. I'm getting used to it now on subsequent listens, but on the first time I heard it, I was like, what happened? But it's decent overall. I enjoy it. Drums, see what I mean? The drums, especially the kick. Pretty damn loud. Next song, Inertia by Arcrux and Punishment. Two artists that are really, really good, honestly. Punishment is just super consistent in his, like, minatory, tear-out, death step realm that he makes his music in. I love tracks like Pop, tracks like Hostile, Putrefy, Hierophant, and oh my god, Sputum. And Arcrux is pretty good. He's super solid. I love how dark his tracks seem to be and really deep they are. Both of these artists tend to have a super menacing feel to their music, and I definitely see that within this collab. Not the type of intro I'd expect from Punishment, but seeing as Arcrux is on the track, the intro kind of fits. I mean, usually Punishment's intros have these like old radio samples kind of flown together that pan left to right in your ears that kind of tell a disjointed dialogue, which is a really cool thing that he does. And he tends to drops out of nowhere, and this kind of drops out of nowhere as well, but I think it's fine because of the Spitfya sample that plays before each drop, which I think is really nice. But the drops are really good, actually. I love the constant back and forth between like this really droning and scary kind of drop sound design into this really sporadic tear out is guns part of the drop, and it just constantly does that back and forth, and I think it adds a really nice feel to the whole thing. I feel like some people would say it's like disjointed, but I think it's a really nice subversion on what you would originally think the idea of this song would be. So I really like this one. Great track. So stupid.
Space Boys.
Now, we have my absolute favorite of the compilation, and that is Clipper's track, Saturn Devouring His Child. Damn, this song is good. It's very different to what Clipper usually does. It kind of reminds me of Executioner style a little bit. I didn't really know beforehand this track coming out of the painting that it was based on, the Saturn devouring his son, but it's a really cool story and very disturbing, and this track definitely reminds me of just what that painting invokes in terms of its emotion. There's like these droning sounds that sound like screaming, and this like bass that constantly gets put on like the snare or just before the snare that sounds really grungy and flesh-like. It's a really thick noise, and it reminds me of like chewing or just like flesh being ripped. It really invokes the feeling of the painting. It's a super dark track. I also love the tempo that it's at. It allows that feel. I think it's like 130, and I love like 130 dubstep because it just allows the beat to anchor itself and give a more vibey feel to a very aggressive song. It's a weird balance, but I think it really works. And just, I love this song. It's so good. It's a perfect 3 minutes. Perfect 3 minutes. I need water, bro. Because it's heat. It's too much heat. I also didn't mention the really cool sub melody in this song, at least in the drop. It's also really good. You can already hear it. So scary and like disturbing, but it's so good. Also, these droning notes right here. Ah, it's so good. Amazing track. I love it so much. Oh my god. Well done, Clipper. Okay, on to Rhythm. Delay Dimension by JG Dubz. JG Dubz actually has a really clean production and mix down. Super clean, almost like scarily clean. And it definitely shows on this track as well, and stuff like the Skinwalker VIP and Howler and his other releases that I haven't really checked out because I'm stupid. I don't know why I haven't listened to a lot of his stuff. But all of his tracks are solid from what I can tell. I mean, it's just really well done rhythm in the sense that it's just good. It has the very like lazy sub, or it's like one sub note, but it's really thick and fits with the track very well, kind of like what Omegamode does on tracks like the COVID Cuts. It's just really well done rhythm. I like it. I just like rhythm. you know? Well-produced rhythm. It's really good, at least to me. And it also has that delay theme, so all the sounds are like delaying out and fading, which I think is really cool. And it takes out the delay in the second drop, I'm pretty sure, which isn't that big of a deal. It just leads to the sound design just being on its own, but it's already pretty thin sound design, so taking the delay off of it leaves a bit of space to be filled, or desired to be filled. That's my one gripe with this song. Other than that, it's pretty good. Hear the sub? Alright. Next song, Possession by Stag and EVVDE. I don't know much about EVVDE. I've heard a few of his songs. I think he had a song off Beastboi Syndicate Volume 4, but I can't remember the name of it because I'm stupid. But Stag has a lot of cool tunes. Dark Figure, Morbid. Did he make Morbid? Why don't I know this? He had Saudade. He had a track off Mentis 2. Oh my god, why can't I remember the names? But this track is kind of just Stag tear out. I don't hear a lot of EVVDE. It has like a very stop-start, uses a lot of empty space. It's just nice. It's good. I like it.
If you listen to heavy metal music, the devil will make you feel your mind.
Oh, the sidechain there. Maybe that's EVVDE. That's definitely EVVDE. Alright, Die Hard by Beastboi. I don't know his music all too well, but from the stuff I've heard, like the track off Reinforcements Volume 2. Oh my god, I don't remember what that track was called, but that's a good track. That's a pretty good track. Self-Love off of Ilan Vital, the previous interval comp, was one of my favorites off of there. The intro is... I love the intro. Just like the whole lo-fi appeal and everything with it. It's just such a nice vibe. The drops are pretty lasery, pretty pinprick, and they're very thin. And I almost don't like that too much. The production is very, like, kind of strung out and almost clipping, I want to say, in the percussion and drops. I can't be too sure. I still like the track, pretty good overall. It's just, it could have been a lot better in the sense of just how it sounds. I still really like the ideas. It's just missing something, you know? But this is great.
Beastboi. X amount of rude boy sound. Hey, boys.
Ooh. It's pretty cheeky. I'll give it that. It is pretty fun. Back to this gorgeous midsection, my god. Alright, Nests by Teneki. Kind of surprised to see Teneki on this compilation, but I mean, he wasn't the last one, and that surprised me as well. But to see this song was kind of surprising in the sense that Teneki doesn't really make dubstep that much. I don't think he does a lot of wave, and whenever he does do dubstep, it's way more melodic focused, like on the Endless Smile VIP that he put on Interim 5. This track feels kind of lacking in a lot of ways. In the drops, just in the drops. I think the intro's pretty good, midsection's good, outro's good. Those are all fine. Teneki does those very well, but the drops, the snare sucks. I'm just gonna say it. The snare sucks. It's really bad. It's super muffled, and it doesn't come through in the mix well. It's not good. I don't know what he was thinking with that snare. I sound like Naughty Stud, but I don't care. I don't care. And also just the drops in general seem kind of low in volume, and they don't really, the sounds in the drop don't really pop out too well. Also, the ideas are pretty basic. It's kind of just sustained basses with some stabs thrown in. The second drop does pick it up a little bit a little bit better than the first, but I think this song is just lacking in something. It's just lacking in the Teneki spark, you know. At least in the drops. I feel that spark in the intro. It's really good, but it just doesn't come through well in the drops. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. Also, the build-up is really good. I like the build-up. Okay, now, probably the biggest surprise of the whole compilation, GVING by Damnasie. Or Damnasie. I'm not exactly, I think it's Damnasie. But this track really surprised me, because I had never really gotten into Damnasie's work, or I just never really delved into it. And after hearing this track, I'm like, that's stupid. Why did I never do that? Because it's really good. It has that melodic flavor that I've heard Damnasie uses in their work. I'm not exactly sure. I'm gonna just say they, because I'm gonna be safe with it. First drop, very punchy, really kind of stabby. Not really what I expected from Damnasie in terms of like what I've heard about the future rhythm that they make. But it's very nice. The build-up and transition into it is also pretty good. But you know, I don't care about the first drop. It's good, I enjoy it, but I don't care. The second drop is so good. Now, let me preface that. Let me just explain what's happening in the second drop first. It's very weird. It's also a very different tempo than the first drop and the rest of the song. I think it goes halftime and then it slows down even more. I'm not exactly sure, but it's just way slower. Like, it builds up to the second drop and then it just stutters over itself because it's slowing down, and then you're like, whoa, what's happening? And then it goes into this super drawn out and really, really cool drop. It has these like whirring sub basses and these absolutely crazy fills, where at first I thought the song was like glitching out, or at least my speaker was, but it's actually the song speeding up again and then slowing back down, which was really off-putting at first, but now that I've gotten to hear the song a lot more times, I think it really adds to the overall song. And I know a lot of people aren't going to like this second drop, but I think it's really nice and a breath of fresh air in the scene right now. It's just, I hold creativity over everything else. And like production quality right under that. But creativity is the main thing I look for in this style of music, and this is just so nice. It's so nice to hear. This first drop is also really good though. I do enjoy it a lot. Slowing down. You're waiting for the snare to come in? The sub bass gets segmented like, oh. And here's the speeding up fill. Here it is. Oh. It hurts my head, but I love it. The bass gets more fuzzy here. Just adds a different feel. I love it. I love it. I think it speeds up there too. Oh. I love this so much. You don't get to. Alright, final song off the comp, Magic Game by Baw. Baw is an artist that I had no clue existed until it landed Vital 5 with his song Alone, and a lot of people in the Interval server seem to be super happy that he was on that comp. And then I heard Alone and I was like, oh my god, this is great, this is amazing. I love that track, definitely one of my favorites off that compilation. And then we have Magic Game, which a lot of people are also hyping up and gassing up as like, oh, this is one of the best in the comp. And I can see where they're coming from, because this is like one of the I think this is like the most flat out melodic track. Everything else is pretty dark. I mean, the Damnasie track had melodic elements, and so did a couple other tracks like the Omegamode, but this track is fully melodic. And that's something I did not expect off the Interim series, but I'm super happy that this track is on the comp, because, oh my god, the melody and just the songwriting is just beautiful. It's so nice. Definitely one of the best on the ideas front in this compilation. I will say though that The production isn't as on point as I thought it was on Alone, that track off of Land Vital, because the snare is pretty weak, pretty muffled, pretty fuzzy, and it just kind of distracts from the idea. But it's one of those things where the song is so good that you kind of don't care that the production, or at least the drums, are a little weird. So yeah, pretty good track overall. I like it a lot. The production is holding me back from being like, whoa, this is best on the comp material, but it's still pretty good. It's just so pretty, man. I love this the more I hear it. I adore this the more I hear it. It's just it's so pleasant to listen to. Oh, that transition, man. Alright, so that's my review of Interim Season 6. Overall, let me look at the track list again. Overall, I don't think it's one of their best comps. I can't give my opinion anymore. It's not one of their best comps, in my opinion. I think if it had more songs, and they were all like of this varying quality, or it just had more songs that would fit within the Interim kind of sound, maybe a track from like Audio Weapon or DeLion or Extant, it would really fit within here. I'd probably like it a bit more, but as it stands, if your compilation is shorter, every song has to pull its weight a little bit more, and I think some of these songs kind of drop the ball in terms of holding the compilation up, like Nests by Teneki and Die Hard to a certain extent in its production. System Failure, I said I really liked, but the ideas could have been better. Disco Drive, the second drop should have been longer. Sonic Boom, it has some flaws, but I still enjoy that track overall. Kickdown isn't that inventive. I mean, it's hard to be inventive in Tear Out, but I walk away from a lot of these tracks with minor gripes and things that I feel just could have made the compilation better overall. But that being said, there is a lot of great material on here, with my favorites being Magma by Omegamode, Brotherstep by Stabby and Zeneth, Come Down by Aimless, Inertia by Arcrux and Punishment, Clipper with Saturn Devouring His Child, that is my outright favorite of the compilation, GVING by Damnasie, and Magic Game by Baw. And those 7 are the standouts from the compilation. There are other pretty solid ones like Possession by Stag and Evade, but those are my favorites for now. My overall review of this compilation, it's good. It's not their outright best. I still think Interim 3 and 4 are better overall, but this is still pretty good. I like a lot. I like the compilation a lot. I like the music on it a lot. But it just has its flaws within a couple tracks. So I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 overall. Usually I give these things like an 8 or a 9. I don't remember what I gave the last Interim, maybe an 8. I'd probably still give it an 8. But pretty good comp. And it's just, I love Interval. Interval's my favorite label right now. So I feel obliged to review at least their stuff, you know? But done with the video. Hopefully I'll be more consistent with uploads in the future, and with music to kind of like spread out the stuff I do on this channel, because I've been meaning to get back to reviews for a while now, and since I actually have time to do them now, I should check out my EP, as I said at the very beginning of the video. I'd very much appreciate it. Check out this compilation. I'm going to be putting that in the description of the video, the SoundCloud link, probably the Spotify link too. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm also going to put the Interval Discord server in the description. I just want to have this label grow and be as noticed as it can, because I just love the artists and the music on it. So yeah, that's it. See you whenever. But I gotta get back to finishing this water bottle. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.